You see the goals. You see the glory. 5 Ballon d'Ors. $1 billion in earnings. Nearly 900 goals. The mansions. The supercars. The jets. From the outside, he looks untouchable. A flawless machine. A perfect life. But what you don't see is the price. The pain. The obsession. The 4 a.m. workouts. The sacrifices. The loneliness. The boy who left home at 12 with nothing but a dream and refused to fail. Cristiano Ronaldo didn't just arrive at the top. He built it. With blood, sweat, and an unbreakable mind. Now let me tell you the real reason he became unstoppable. Forget the brand and the screaming fans. Before all that, Cristiano Ronaldo was just a poor kid from a tiny island in Portugal. I'm talking seriously poor. He grew up in poverty, sharing a single room with his 3 siblings. It was less like a childhood home and more like a sardine can. For him, football was the only escape. It was like a secret key that unlocked a door out of his reality. If he didn't have a ball, he'd literally roll up socks to play. His dad was a part-time kit man for a local team and saw his son had an insane fire to win. He was so competitive his teammates called him Crybaby because he would actually cry if he lost or if no one passed him the ball. This kid didn't just want to win. For him, winning was like oxygen. He needed it to breathe. He saw his family struggling and knew football was his one shot to change everything. His talent was so undeniable it was like a beacon, and scouts from the biggest clubs started noticing him. He got an offer that would change his life forever, but it came with a crazy catch. He had to leave his family, his friends, his entire island behind. At just 12 years old, Sporting CP, one of the biggest clubs in Portugal, wanted to sign him for their elite academy. This is literally every kid's dream. But for a 12-year-old who'd never left his island, it was terrifying. It was like being a tiny fish scooped out of a small pond and dropped into the middle of the ocean. But when he got to the academy in Lisbon, reality hit him like a truck. The other kids bullied him nonstop just for his heavy Madeiran accent. He was an island kid in the big city, completely stranded on a new kind of island, one where he was surrounded by people but felt totally alone. He even admitted, "I cried almost every day." Can you even imagine? His family was so poor they could only afford to visit him once every 4 months. He was so close to quitting and going home. This was it. The moment that would define everything. Give up and go home, or find a way to survive the pain. So how does a kid who cries every day become the most unstoppable athlete in the world? Like an alchemist turning worthless lead into gold, he turned the pain into superpower. He made a decision. At just 11, he heard the other kids whispering that he was too skinny. So he decided to outwork everyone. He took all that loneliness and anger and turned it into fuel. Like a blacksmith forging a sword, he used the hammer of criticism and the fire of his own ambition to make himself unbreakable. Football was the only place where the bullying stopped. It was where he could prove them all wrong. He started sneaking out of his dorm at night to train in the gym by himself. He would strap weights to his legs and just train for hours after everyone else was asleep. His coaches couldn't believe it. This kid was turning himself into a machine. And then, at 15, disaster. It was like reaching the final boss in a video game you thought you were about to win. He was diagnosed with a racing heart condition. The doctors told him he might have to quit football forever. His entire dream was about to be destroyed. But Ronaldo refused to quit. He had heart surgery, and believe it or not, he was back training just days later. Days. This is also where we get the legend of Albert Fantrao. The story is insane. A scout said whoever scored more goals in a game would get a spot in the academy. In the final seconds, Albert was about to score, but instead, he passed it to Ronaldo. When Ronaldo asked why, Albert just said, "Because you're better than me." Whether it's true or not, it shows that Ronaldo's entire career was built on insane sacrifices. All of this pain and loneliness created a bulletproof mindset. At 15 years old, he literally told his teammates, "I'm going to be the best player in the world." For him, this wasn't just a boast. It was like drawing a map to a treasure island that no one else believed existed. And they laughed at him. 2 years later, at 17, he made it to Sporting's main team. Then, in one game against Manchester United, he played so incredibly well that it was like a job applicant outperforming the CEO. The United players begged their legendary coach, Sir Alex Ferguson, to sign him on the spot. And just like that, it happened. The poor kid from Madeira who cried himself to sleep every night was now playing in the biggest league in the world. So the legend of Ronaldo wasn't built in a giant stadium. It was built on a foundation hidden deep underground, like the base of a massive skyscraper. You only see the gleaming tower, not the struggle that holds it up. His legend was created in a tiny bedroom he shared with his siblings. It was created when he said a heartbreaking goodbye to his family. It was created in a lonely dorm room and on a hospital operating table. This story is insane proof that you can turn your biggest pain into your biggest strength. He didn't just beat his problems, he used them as rocket fuel. The billionaire superstar you see today exists because a lonely 12-year-old kid was willing to sacrifice everything to do the impossible. If you think this story is crazy, subscribe. We do stuff like this all the time. And for my next video, I want to know, what is the biggest sacrifice you've ever made for a dream? Tell me in the comments below.